Here. We're now joined by Mr. Fadel Abul Ghany, who's the chairman and founder of the Syrian Network for Human Rights. He's joining us from Switzerland. Mr. Ghany, we're talking about children, and that's something that Ms. Christiane, our earlier guest, was also talking about. Tell us the lost generation of Syria here during this conflict, the way they are losing out on almost all the basic human rights, whether it is education or healthcare, and the impact that's having on the Syrian people.
Of course, that's a terrible situation in Syria, and all of the different types of violation affected the children hardly as a vulnerable victims, actually. But always we need to recognize that between the types and the scale of violation, when the government used the army and the security forces and the air forces, plus the Russian forces and the Iranian militia, all together to committed violation, that's very much different from when groups committed violation. The scale is different. The tactic is different also. We committed all the violation. That's very clear in our report. But targeting systematically and widespread, that tactic coming from the regime, chilling the medical centers, and chilling that is a tactic from the regime. The schools as well, that lead to the children to be displaced, lead the children to abandon the school. The family does not send their children again to the school. Schools have been targeted repeatedly. Well documented, above than 3,000 schools have been targeted. Most of them, above 90% from them, by Assad regime and his allies, mainly the Russian forces, and the Assad allies and the Russian also journalists keep denying our documentation, denying human rights.
Mr. Fadel, since we're running short on time, I just want to put my last question to you. The UN chief Antonio Guterres said that Russia and Turkey need to stabilize the situation. Now, this is a statement that, of course, is continuously given by the international community. There needs to be control over the situation. But do you see that happening anytime soon?
Of course not. The Russian, we need to always remember that the Russian will blocking the Security Council to move ahead and find solution to Syria. The Russian used veto to protect Assad regime 13 times. So what we are asking allies, civilized allies, including civilized country and Islamic country like Pakistan, like also to be neutral, like Arab country, like Jordan, like Turkey, like France, UK, US, Canadian, Australian, to be interfere and in this conflict militarily to protect the civilians and to pressure the regime to sit at the negotiation table. Otherwise, the regime will continue committed crimes, killing civilians. So responsible to protect should be implemented out of the Security Council, similar what's happened when NATO interfered in Yugoslavia and to protect the civilians. Otherwise, Milosevic will kill thousands, similar what Bashar al-Assad did.
And on that note, thank you so much, Mr. Fadel Abul Ghany, for joining